So once again, the purpose of these lectures this week is to take you from this situation when you're trying to write your research report to this situation where you know where everything needs to go, how do you get started, what information needs to be in there, eventually so that it's just a matter of doing the work, but you know what needs to be done. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the library assignment preview. So this is the first little piece of knowledge that you're going to need to do the library assignment. Just want to make you aware of that. Then we're going to go through the checklist for the critical reader, which is also great for the critical writer. So when you're starting to read the articles that you get from your library assignment, be sure to practice this checklist. Be sure to use this checklist, and it will help you, number one, learn your critical thinking skills, practice them. It'll also help you process the information a lot more actively when you're reading your articles. So let's start with the library assignment preview. When you do your library assignment, and I'll be making available the questions for the assignment. It's a guided search. So you're going to be asked to find articles using the psychology databases that we have here available to you to satisfy certain conditions. So they have to be within a certain number of years. They have to be by these particular authors. They have to cite a particular article. But all of them are going to share in common that they have to be primary research articles. And what a primary research article is it is the first publication of a research project. So it is the original source of the information. It's the original report of this information. It is the most reliable source for this information. So this primary article is usually only found in professional scientific journals. So it's not found in newspapers. If you're reading a newspaper about a new scientific study, you are not reading the primary research article. You're not reading the original publication. So you're not going to find it in newspapers. You're not going to find it in magazines, online or in print. It's not going to be on Wikipedia. Wikipedia does not have primary research articles published in Wikipedia. It's not going to be in many of the sources that you're used to going to for information. And this is because as part of our focus on critical thinking, we want to make sure that we get to the original source. So we're not dealing with other people's interpretations. We're not dealing with what they think was said. We can make that decision for ourselves, what was actually said in that primary research article. So it's usually only found in scientific journals. However, the challenge is that scientific journals publish other stuff as well. So a scientific journal will publish primary research articles, but it will also publish other articles, secondary research articles. So it'll publish things like literature reviews. These are exceptionally useful, especially if you're new to a field. So this is basically a synopsis of all the research that had been done in a particular area. And if you're new to a particular field like child development, if you're new to the field of memory, if you're new to the field of perception, these literature reviews are a great place to start because they will summarize 80, 90, 100 articles so that you can get an overview of the field. But it's somebody else's summary. It's somebody else reading through these articles saying, this is what I think they meant, this is what I think is important. So it's a great place to start, but you want to make sure that you get to that primary research article to find out for yourself. So scientific journals will publish literature reviews. They're not primary research articles. They'll publish book reviews. They'll be like, oh, here's the latest textbook from this person. Here's the latest handbook of, experimental psychology from from these researchers. Here's our book review. Those book reviews are not primary research articles. They'll publish editorials, statements on the state of, psychology in that area, statements on new challenges that are arising. Those are also not primary research articles. There'll be position papers where they might have people debating two sides of an argument, not primary research articles. They could have invited addresses. There's a ton of different types of articles that a scientific journal will publish, and they're not necessarily primary research articles. So you have to find these primary research articles for our research project. And just to show you, we saw the importance of the primary research article last time when we were looking at the misinterpretation of the Viking archaeological studies. So the original report said nothing about Viking warriors, but the media reported that it was about Viking warriors and therefore there were female Viking warriors. That's not what the original report said. I'll give you an example that goes closer to psychology. There was a classic study about childhood development and childhood nutrition. And in this study, what they showed, I'll tell you what they reported in the media first. What they reported in the media, what got told and was reported in textbooks, was reported in the newspapers, was reported in magazines. And what was true, what was a result of the study, was that children will balance their own diets if you give them freedom of choice. So if you just say to your child, here's food, eat, your child will balance their own diet. So you don't have to sit there and say, eat your vegetables, right? If a child feels like eating vegetables, it's because their body needs vegetables, they'll eat vegetables. You don't have to sit there and say, eat your meat, because if a child feels the need for meat, they'll eat meat. We have psychological processes that'll balance our own diet. In the original experiment that led to that result, it was only healthy foods. That was all that was available. So there was healthy fruit, there was healthy vegetables, healthy meats, healthy grains, healthy, dairy products, but it was all healthy choices. And given that subset of choices, subjects, children, would pick stuff and they would be healthy. Their diet would be balanced. They would pick the foods that they needed. What the secondary sources reported was not, they left out the healthy choices. And they reported that children will balance their own diets. And this gave countless parents the idea that if their child wanted to eat cookies, that's fine. They'll eventually not eat cookies because they'll balance their own diet. If they want this sugary cereal, that's fine. Let them eat sugary. If they want to eat these candy bars, that's fine because the scientific report said they'll balance their own diet. So why would I fight with them? Let them balance their own diet. They're going to do it anyway. That's because they read it in a secondary source and they did it wrong. And they did a disservice to these children who ended up with health issues because of this misreporting. So if it's important to you, for example, if it's for a research paper that you're publishing, you need to go to those primary articles. You need to go to the original research to take a look at it and say, oh my gosh, they only allow them to choose from healthy foods. I'm going to take the box of cookies away from my child because they will never make that choice. So we got to go to the first publication. So we have to know how to identify these first publications. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips, a couple of tricks that you can use to make this a little bit easier for your library assignment. So here they are. This is what you want to look for. This will allow you to identify a primary research article in about a minute, so that you can select through articles that you find and very quickly say, this one is not primary, this one is not primary, here's a primary one, not primary, here's primary. So this is what you want to look for. First off, you want to find the method section. And you want to see a method section that says something about the subject characteristics. So what you're going to do is open up the PDF. When we go to the library section, they'll show you how to get these articles. You open up the article and you just start scanning. You don't even have to read it. You just start scanning down for the word methods, right in bold, right in the middle of the column. If you don't find the word methods, it's not primary research. Primary research will have a methods section. If you find a methods section, then you also then have to check, does it say something about the subject characteristics? Does it mention how many subjects? We ran 62 subjects. We tested 142 subjects. Does it mention the number? Does it mention how many males and female subjects? 42 males and 87 females participated in this experiment. Does it mention what their average ages were? The average age of 26 and a half, average age of 7.2 years old. That's what you're looking for. Because occasionally a review paper will have a methods section, but it will not have anything about subject characteristics, right? Meta-analyses will have a methods section, but nothing about subject characteristics. So the first step is find that methods section. Second step, you should see a subsection that says we had this many subjects, this many males and females, this was the average age. You might not get all three pieces of information, but if you don't have a single one of these, not a primary research paper, you got to go to another source. So that's one of the first things you can look for. This will get you to about like 90% sure that you're dealing with a primary research paper. The next thing you want to look at is you scroll a little bit down, a little bit further, and you're looking for a big, bold title that says results. It'll be bold, it'll be in the center of the column, and you want a results section that contains statistical jargon. So you might not know what any of this means yet, and that's fine, but you can recognize stuff that's not English. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that statistical jargon. So you're looking for stuff like p-values. You're looking for stuff like f-values, t-values, other abbreviations, partial eta squared, chi-squared. You're looking for all these statistical notations. You're looking for numbers, right? You should actually see numbers being reported somewhere. P equals 0.05, T equals 2.73. You're looking for numbers as well. If you find stuff that looks like this, then that raises it to about 99% that you're dealing with a primary research article. And notice you didn't even read anything, right? All you read was methods. Here are the subjects, results. Here are some numbers and some jargon. Takes you about a minute, 2 minutes to do this, and you know whether you're dealing with a primary research article or whether you're not dealing with that primary research article. All right, so any questions about those two kind of signposts for that primary research article? Make sense? All right, so I hope when the library assignment comes, remember those two criteria, and when you hand it in, there will be points for making sure that it's a primary research article. So, I'm glad to see, and I'm hoping that we'll get everybody finding all 4 articles, all primary research. All right.